I don't have a fork.
They're out of forks, Carol. Okay, everybody else gonna listen or?
But anyway, I explained to Chuck Grassley is the story of Michael, okay? And understand this was a group of custodial and non-custodial parents, and we had complaints with the court system. And I think Michael's, I've heard a lot of, I ran a pro se association, I had a legal law office, and I think his was probably one of the most egregious ones. But Michael went through a divorce, had a 3-year-old daughter, and because of what happened to Michael as a child, the judge made him do supervised visits. Okay, not that he's ever posed a threat to his daughter, but they made him do supervised visits. Well, we know how that stuff works. Usually it's done at the Y or Waypoint or something like this, but this judge, in his infinite wisdom, made Michael do supervised visits with his ex-mother-in-law. Now, how do you think that's going to go? Well, it gets better. The story gets better. Because not only is ex-mother-in-law kind of upset with Michael because of the divorce and stuff, but her name is Regina, but her unhappiness with Michael was put into a letter that she handed upon his arrival, and the judge actually put it in a decree that she would rather take a knife and stick it in Michael's throat than look at his face. Now, this is where the judge made him do supervised visits. How do you think it's going to go? So he went there a couple times. They took somebody with him as a witness. Then ex-mother-in-law, Regina, decided he can't come with anybody. He's got to come by himself. This is where I got involved, and he got my number. He called me. I said, well, Michael, you can't go by yourself because they're setting you up, okay? I said, but you call C.J. Schmidt. She's a social worker. She's a friend of mine. She's my neighbor. She'll go with you. Charge you $25 an hour, but you need to take somebody with you. So C.J. went with him the next visit. They pulled up in the driveway. Ex-mother-in-law comes out, and she's yelling and screaming at him. Now, the real tragedy of this whole story is 3-year-old daughter's in the window watching all this stuff. Well, Michael and C.J. sat in the car. Well, then C.J. said, well, Michael's not getting any better. We probably need to leave. They go to leave. Ex-wife comes along. Now, this is a woman that said she was deathly afraid of him. She blocks him in, traps them both. They can't get out. There's laws against that. And she's yelling at him now. So now Michael and C.J. are sitting in the car. They're getting yelled at on both sides. Sheriff shows up. Sheriff talks to ex-wife. He comes up to the door. Michael said he come up like he was 7 foot tall. And the lead CJ leaned over and handed the officer her card. Said, "I'm C.J. Schmidt, social worker. And officer, if you don't mind, I'm going to get out of the car and explain to you what's really been going on here." Well, she did. And it's funny. Michael said the sheriff looked like he was about 4 foot tall. He was just shrunk. He couldn't do anything to Michael. Well, ex-mother-in-law and ex-wife, they were beside themselves, and the sheriff ordered her to move her car so they could get out. Goes to court again. Judge Russell, who, by the way, I filed a complaint against too, because he's a moron. What do you think he did when he had a social worker that witnessed all this?
He blamed Michael.
Huh?
He blamed Michael.
He did. He wouldn't let C.J. testify and took visitation away from Michael for a year. Took visitation away from Michael for a year. So he can't even see his daughter for a year.
I've been trying to tell everybody that back there is no good. Don't have any.
These are the people that are telling us how to run our lives. We got to get rid of them. They're bad. If this be the case, we have somebody who has a JD degree, we need to get common people in there as judges. Because that's what we used to have. And in England, they don't have judges that have law degrees. All judges are common people over there. They're not lawyers. They're not barristers. They're not solicitors.
So they took visitation for a year. Then what?
He's still got a few more months.
Oh.
Yeah, he hasn't seen her for 9 months.
She's 3?
She was 3, probably 4 now.
You're in the camera.
Never changed unless we change politicians.
Very much so.